basement of La Penta. This is WICR.
Hello, everyone. Jersey Joe back in action, and another interesting story this morning. Chargers and the Raiders plan a shared $1.7 billion LA stadium in Carson. This would be in LA, and I think we've all kind of followed this story very closely. We've seen that there's a very big potential for both of these teams to move. We didn't, I don't think we really expected both of them to move to the same stadium. And now, again, this is still not official. There's still a lot of time for San Diego and Oakland to work things out. But it's very telling because I think both organizations, there's clearly a lot of frustration on their parts. I mean, Qualcomm is not as bad as Oakland has. I mean, Oakland shares their stadium with the A's, and that really is not a great place. I mean, the Oakland Coliseum, it's really not that great. They really need a new stadium. Qualcomm and the Chargers, I don't know. I think that's still a pretty nice spot, but both want a new one. This seems like it's a very interesting. I mean, if you look at the concept for the stadium, it's a beautiful stadium. It really is. I mean, and we all understand there is a team coming to LA. The Rams have made a lot of moves to potentially set up there. Now it seems like the Raiders and the Chargers have got a lot of momentum for sharing a stadium. And it's interesting because both AFC rivals, I mean, both in the AFC West, a very historic rivalry between the two of them. And it would be very interesting if this move did happen. And we did also see, in response to this, San Diego's mayor actually said something about it, and it was interesting. He said, "It's now abundantly clear that while we've been working here in San Diego to create a plan for a new stadium, the Chargers have for some time been making their own plans for moving to Los Angeles. This would amount to abandoning generations of loyal Chargers fans. Despite this news, we are going to continue our efforts to develop a viable stadium solution." And it's interesting because I am a Chargers fan, and I love San Diego. I mean, look, it's the San Diego Chargers. They've been in LA before, but it's a beautiful stadium, and if things don't work out, you got to move. I would have no problem with them doing it. I'd feel bad for the San Diego fans who have really supported that team for a long time, but sometimes it's just business, and you've got to make the right decision. Now, it's interesting because we are seeing increasingly now, especially in sports, I think there's some times where, I'm always a little weary of these stadium things sometimes because don't ever forget what happened with the Miami Marlins and that crook Jeffrey Lurie, their owner, and what he did, what he tried to pull there. The reason, of course, we all understood, the fans, the reasonable people understood why no one was going to watch the Marlins. It wasn't because the stadium wasn't nice, folks. We know that. It's because it was a pathetic team that they were putting out on the field. You've got an owner who thinks he understands baseball moves and how to run an organization when he doesn't. And you give them credit now because they've started to turn things around. It looks like they're moving in the right direction, but the way that he what he did there is almost borderline criminal. How he tried to make that move and took so much money from taxpayers when, still nobody going to watch it. I just think Florida is not a big baseball market. Even when the Tampa Bay Rays were so good for so many years, they were such a consistent powerhouse, nobody was coming to the games. They had more Red Sox fans than Rays fans. They had more Yankee fans there than Rays fans. It's just not a great baseball market. Sometimes it's just not a good fit. Even if it's a great product, it's just not a good fit in all places, and I think that's abundantly been clear with that. And LA is an interesting one because we understand how big of a market LA is and how badly the NFL still wants to get a team there. But is it mean a little bit something that there was teams there before and now there hasn't been for a while? I don't know. I think the way the NFL is today, nothing else really rivals it in terms of popularity. So anyway, whoever goes there is probably going to have a pretty good level of success. But it would be kind of interesting to see if this did come to fruition with the Raiders and the Chargers, if they did end up having this. And both teams are definitely viable right now. I mean, the Raiders have been so bad for so long, but it kind of seems like they're going in the right direction now. It seems like they have their quarterback. I like Jack Del Rio a lot, a guy who I think is a no-nonsense guy. He's a grinder, very organized. I mean, look at what he did with those Jacksonville teams. He did a lot of good things. His teams were always smart. You knew they were never going to beat themselves. They were going to play smart, give you a very good game. I thought it was a good move to bring in a type of guy like Jack Del Rio. And I like Carr a lot. He showed a lot of poise as a rookie. I think he could only continue to get better from here. You've got a potential there. And the Chargers have had a very good resurgence. Norv Turner had a good start with that team, and then it really went downhill from there. Mike McCoy has really helped revitalize the Chargers. Until Phillip Rivers had the injury, they were playing as well as anybody else in the league. At the first 5 weeks of the season, the Dallas Cowboys and the San Diego Chargers were the two best teams in the NFL. So Mike McCoy has done a lot of good things with that team. Both are viable. Both are interesting, and that's really all you could hope for. For a long time, I think we all kind of thought the Jaguars might be the organization to move, but the Jaguars aren't interesting. I mean, if you're going to send teams to LA and you're going to make this move, you've got to come in with interest, and maybe the Jaguars right now are a little bit still not that interesting, but both of these teams certainly have the historic element on their side. Both brands have had a lot of success. The Raiders, one of the most iconic franchises. I just think they're probably the best fit out of anybody. Maybe the Chargers will still ultimately figure something out, but I think the Raiders are the team that you just can kind of see it, right? I mean, just think how much success they had back in the day with Al Davis when they won the Super Bowl as the LA Raiders. A lot of people still cling to that. I mean, that still means a lot to fans of California, fans of that area. I definitely see them as a fit there, but it would be very interesting if this did happen. I would definitely recommend you go out and check out the design because, I mean, it really is just a beautiful stadium. I mean, this concept, man, I could see myself there right now, but a little interesting story. Wanted to get to that, but that will do it for this one. When we come back, talking a lot of NBA. Trade deadline just insane yesterday. I did break down my initial thoughts, but Chris Bosh, it seems like he's was in the hospital, so I want to get to that, break that down a little bit. Goran Dragic is impact, but stay with us, and we will be right back.